Hello and welcome to another lawnfawn video. Today we're introducing our brand new die set, Pretty Poppies, so let's go ahead and check it out. This die set makes the most beautiful flowers and the most beautiful leaves. I love those leaves so much. They're so gorgeous. So these are all the pieces that you get with all the dies in the set. And then what I like to do, sort of the main way to make these flowers, is to just layer the pieces. So I layer the two large ones on top of each other, and I cut two small ones and layer those two on top of each other. And then there's kind of a little flower center here. So we've got the centers in both the large and small size, and then an extra added detail to the center there in both the large and small size too. And then we have 3 different sizes of leaves that you can mix and match on these flowers. I also can't wait to use these leaves for fall. They're going to be so beautiful cut out of reds, browns, and oranges too. Now I think these flowers look really cute flat, but it's kind of fun to add a little dimension to them. So I'm taking each of the petals and rolling it around the base of this. This is like a little piercer here, but a pencil would work perfectly. Anything cylindrical, just roll all of those edges around. And then when you layer those 2 pieces together, you get this really nice dimensional flower, which I think is really, really cool. Now another way I like to add dimension is to fold along that middle stitched line in each petal. So I'm just going to fold right along that line, and this looks so beautiful when you do all the petals. So I'm kind of folding on the line and then pushing the little edges of the petals in towards the center, and I just think it looks gorgeous. Now to add color to these flowers, you can cut them out of pattern paper or colored cardstock, or you can use ink. So in this case I am using some distress ink. I'm using Candied Apple and then Fired Brick. And I'm going to start with my lighter color and completely cover these petals. So I'm starting off the petal and then going on, just building up that color until I think it looks really nice. And I'm just using that white piece of paper there to keep my inky fingers from ruining my flower. So I'm going to add that red color to both of my petal pieces. And then once I have all of that first lighter red color, or any color, it could be lighter pink or orange or purple, then I'm going to take my darker one and just go around the edges of the petals. And this kind of defines them and gives them a little something going on. It makes them look really nice and special. So I love going around those edges with the darker color of the red. Then next up, I'm going to add some color to the leaves, and I'm going to be using some peeled paint distress ink, and I'm actually only using one color because this time the edges kind of really piled up with color, and it looks like I used 2 colors, so I kind of just did the one, and I think it just looks beautiful. And then I'm using some black soot and just pouncing it on those little flower centers to have a black center for my poppies. Now I am using some foam squares there to adhere my pieces together, and that adds some really nice dimension too. So I put my little flower center there on flat, and then the next part of the flower center is going to go on with some foam tape too. And then I can glue those little leaves to the back of my poppy, and it is just beautiful, perfect for an embellishment for a card or any other project. I just love how cute these flowers are. Next up, I wanted to show you kind of a fun thing that you can do with these poppies to turn them into kind of a hibiscus flower. So I'm trimming apart all of my little petals here on 2 flowers cut from watercolor wishes paper. So I'm just kind of trimming them messy. It doesn't matter what they look like because the middle part is going to end up covered up. And then I'm just freehand cutting a little white circle, super messy too because no one's ever going to see it. And then I'm going to take some tape runner and cover that piece of white cardstock with it. Then next, I'm going to arrange my 5 petals onto that piece of white cardstock into kind of a hibiscus shape. And so it's just a fun way to get more out of a die set, get a completely different look. So I'll layer all of those pieces on top, and then I'll take one of the flower center pieces and cut that from some yellow watercolor wishes paper and layer that right over the middle to give it kind of a seamless look. And I think it just looks so cute. It's just a different look with the same die, which is really cool. Now I love cutting these flowers from felt, so I've cut them from some purple felt, and I am going to layer 2 of the pieces together, and then for my flower center I'm actually going to use a little button, which I thought would be really cute, so I'm just going to add a little glue around that button. And then once I have that, I'll take a little hair clip and add some glue onto that hair clip so I can layer my flower right on top. And this is really quick and easy to do. I think it would be really cute for a little girl's maybe party favors or something like that. So I just think it's really adorable. I'm actually wearing this one in my hair today because I thought it was just so fun and cute. So another fun way to color these flowers is to use your Copic markers. So I've cut a ton of pieces from white cardstock and I'm going to start coloring them with my markers. So this is my VO1 marker and I'm going to color both the front and the back of all of these petals in just my VO1 marker to start. And that way when I fold the petals up, it's going to look continuous. It won't just be white on the back because I'm going to really fold these petals up. Then I'm taking my V12, a darker marker, coloring the outside edge of the petal and then blending that in with the VO1 marker. And I'm going to repeat this idea on all of my petals and it really gives it some nice dimension and they look really soft and kind of watercolory, but we used markers for it. And then here I'm doing kind of the same idea with the petals, except I'm drawing my darker marker down the middle and then blending it out with my lighter marker. And this is YG07 and YG05. Now here I'm going to really bend along that center stitch line in all of my petals because I want there to be a ton of dimension with these flowers. I just think they look so pretty when you just bend those petals just a little bit. It adds a little extra something, and by coloring it on the back side you won't see white back there. It'll look nice and continuous with the purple on both sides. Now here I am taking some foam tape and I'm actually going to layer both the large and the small pieces all on one flower, which is a really cool look too. Now this idea is a recreation of this amazing little box that Elena made. So thank you so much, Elena, for letting me recreate this for the video because it's so beautiful. So now I have all my petals lined up and I'm going ahead and kind of folding around the edges more, making it even more three-dimensional. And that's really just adding a ton of interest to it. I think it looks really, really cool. So now next is the flower center. And so we're going to do something a little bit different this time. So I'm layering the kind of little pointed piece there on the round piece. And I'm going to keep layering more and more of those pieces in the middle, kind of alternating them so they really fill up that flower center. And I've done that on the large one and now I'm going to do it on the small one. And eventually I'm going to layer those two together. So you'll see I'm just layering more and more pieces until there is a ton of that little kind of white flower center. And I think that looks really cool. Elena did this and I thought it was such a cool and different look. So you'll see I have the large and the small, and now I'm going to take the small and layer it inside the large. Now I want there to be a ton of little kind of spindles there on the inside, and so I'm taking a piece you can see there and I'm going to cut it in half and then fold it in half and then glue that piece in, and I'm going to do that kind of filling in the entire circle, and that's going to make it look like the whole thing is kind of this almost like a pom-pom flower center. So you'll see there I'm kind of folding it in half, kind of playing around with it and then gluing it into the center, and that's what's really giving it that really cool pom-pom look. Now that that's all done, I'll add a little glue to that center and I can add that to my flower and it's just so pretty. Now next up, I am going to be using my fancy box die and cutting it out of some white cardstock. Then I'm going to go ahead and fold along all of the embossed lines that the die created for me using a bone folder on each of those fold lines so that the fold is nice and crisp, so the box looks really good that way. So I'm folding all of my pieces and then using that bone folder again, making sure that everything looks nice and crisp. And then when that's all done, I can go ahead and add my score tape to each of those little tabs. Then I can go ahead and remove that liner tape there that's covering all the adhesive and build my box. And I love this box because it's sized to fit a gift card, but I actually just used this for my mom's 60th birthday, and her present didn't come in on time, so I printed a picture of the present and put it inside the box, and I thought it was a really nice way to show that that present was coming, so I really like doing that. So here I'm going to fold these leaves also along the center stitch line so that they look like the folds in the flower, and it really gives the leaves some nice dimension when you do this. Now that that's all done, I can add some tape to all of my leaves and layer them behind my flower. Once I have them all positioned exactly how I would like them, I'm going to take some score tape, some nice strong tape, and add that to the back of the whole flower and then adhere the flower to the box. And I just love how pretty this is looking. It's just so gorgeous, and you can change the color of the flower depending on the season or maybe the recipient's favorite color. In this case I did purple for my mom because that's her favorite. And here you can see how much dimension you get by layering both the small and large flowers and by folding along that inner stitch line, that center stitch line. Now next up, I wanted to show you one more way to kind of style these flowers. And so I've cut from some guava cardstock here, and I'm going to fold that flower kind of where two petals are pointing up and then the other one points down, and then I'm just going to trim that other flower right off. Then I can layer these two and it's going to look like one of those kind of folded poppies, like you're seeing the poppy from the side a little bit. And then I can take the flower center there cut from some sunflower cardstock and layer that on the inside. And I think this is such a pretty look. It's so gorgeous. And so I'm going to repeat the same thing with the larger size flower, trimming off that third petal and layering those two pieces together, putting the flower center on the inside. And I just think it's so pretty. Now, I was in a goodie bag making mood. I had already made that other box. I decided to make another one. And so I cut my goodie bag out of some watercolor wishes paper. And then I cut some meadow borders grass out of some cilantro paper. And I'm going to fold along the score lines that the goodie bag die created for me. And then I'm going to add some tape there to the bottom of one of the pieces and layer those two pieces together to start to form the bag. Now here, that little cilantro grass we made earlier, I'm just going to trim that down to be a really thin piece and adhere that right to the bottom of my goodie bag. And then I can add some score tape to the 4 tabs, peel off that liner paper, and then I can line those tabs up, just lining those right up together to form my bag. And then once my bag is formed, I can go ahead and kind of push in on both sides just like that, and that's going to kind of form the gusset of the bag and make it look like a little shopping bag. Now here I am just freehand cutting some stems. So I'm just cutting a nice curve. It doesn't have to be perfect. Mine certainly isn't. And once you trim it down, you'll never notice it's not perfect. So here you can see I'm going to kind of layer these 2 petals into my grass. So once I see how tall my stem should be, I'm just going to trim that piece off and then add a bunch of tape to that whole flower and tuck it right behind the grass. So it looks like it's growing out of that grass. And then I'll do the same thing with my smaller flower and just layer that right on top. And this is such a cute little goodie bag. It was super quick to make and I just really, really love it. Now next up we have some gorgeous projects from the design team, and I just love this layout by Melissa. Those layered pink and orange flowers are just gorgeous, and I love how she added that little marker detail to these stitched lines. And then this card by Letitia is so pretty. You could do this in the wedding colors too. Whatever the colors were, you could change up the flowers and that would be gorgeous. I love these little hair clips by Shari. That little tool that she added is so cute. And this card by Yanea is absolutely stunning. That background just blows me away. I just love this card so much. Elise's card is just stunning. I love how she layered those 3 flowers and then with the black and white sentiment banner. So pretty. And then this card by Lynette is gorgeous too. I love that watercolor she created on those flowers. It's just so beautiful. And then these are the boxes that inspired me today. So gorgeous. I love the 3 colors on them too. So those are just beautiful by Elena. And then this card by Lizzie is so gorgeous. I love that background and I love the whole kind of summery Hawaiian feel to it. And then this layout by Melissa is just so beautiful, and I love that she layered 2 colors of watercolor wishes paper for the flowers. It just looks so beautiful and stunning on a layout. Really highlights her photos. And then this card by Audrey, I just love those background types. So beautiful, so stunning. So I cannot wait to see what you guys create with Pretty Poppies, so make sure to share with us. Thank you so much for watching today, and have an absolutely amazing day. Bye!